Bonjour there, we are 7 episodes in to Project Juggle. We have multiple episodes still to release. With around 2 episodes a month, with the content we currently have, we calculate Project Juggle will last until September 2025. But we have many more awesome ideas for future episodes. Therefore, we have set up a Patreon page and a one-off donations button for anyone who would like to support us, mainly for travel expenses, as this is by far the most costly part of making these episodes. These can both be found in the description. And now for the episode. We hope you enjoy.
Amazing. Lewis, are you recording?
In this video, Peter Åberg is going to take us through some different ways on how you can combine juggling with music and vice versa. First, Peter will tell us about how you can do this without using technology. Then further through the video, he is going to go into detail on how technology is adding to this genre of juggling. Yeah, is that your house there?
Yeah, that's the white one. Oh yeah, I didn't even mention that I had a tribute shirt on.
Throughout the day, I couldn't believe the number of different talents he has under his belt. Obviously juggling, but he is also an active clubber, magician, memorialist and magician, and somehow he built this bloody kitchen. I only spent a day with him, but I have a feeling he is very intelligent, especially mathematically. A good juggler, and you remind me of him quite a bit.
Okay.
Which is a compliment.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
To let you know.
He's like, he looks like shit. He's an asshole. And it's like, you remind me of him. Potato, that is a bit too old. Then. Yeah, and you want this? You want not this?
Yeah. Look at me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes. Yeah. So my name is Peter Åberg, and in English it's Peter Åberg, I guess everyone says, and I'm a juggler based in Stockholm. Nice. And do you have any brothers, like Eric? Yeah, exactly. So my brother Eric Åberg is, I don't know if I should spoil this, but he's not my biological brother, but he's my brother by heart, a brother from another mother. And we're from the same small city in the north of Sweden, same surname, and we're both jugglers, so we're brothers. Yeah, so I have like too many hobbies that like all. Like first I was a musician. I played in bands, and I thought I was going to become a rock star. So then, juggling was a hobby, but I mean it took over more and more. Like in the start of first year, I was like, I don't know, everyone who gets hooked on juggling do the same, but I did like 8 hours a day in my backyard, and I remember my dad bought these like lamps, like these worker lamps, so I could have in a circle around me because it's dark in the north, so I could stand out and juggle in the night. So that was a hobby. Yeah, so juggling was just a hobby. Music was my thing, I thought, and then it kind of took over. And then someone said it was a circus school, and I was like, oh, I should go to circus school. And I went to Stockholm to do audition. I actually didn't get in the first time I applied, 2002. And I didn't get in, and I had to actually do like military service, but I got out of that because I got into a music college, like a 1-year thing for like jazz music. So I went there for 1 year, and I trained every day. Like I made the school give me a gym every day after school, so I juggled every day. And then I knew what the audition was. You need to learn to stand your hands. You need to, you need to be flexible. You need to be strong. So I started to train like hell. I started to stretch. I'm gonna get into the circus school, and then I went 1 year after and got in. And also that year I had made an act, because I didn't know you were supposed to have an act in an audition. Like I knew nothing. I was just juggling, and they're like, oh, so tomorrow everyone present their act. I'm like, okay. And then the next year I had prepared that bass solo and juggling act like a club. So what inspired me to combine music and juggling was actually just a matter of coincidence first, because I had seen actually in 2002, I think there was the EGC in Bremen, in Germany, and Gandinis did a gym show with like clubs and rhythms, and they also did something with balls where they were speaking. They were like doing Siteswap and saying them, like 441, 441, 3, 441.
Joel.
Yeah, that young girl did that.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
3, 441. 3, 441. 3, 441.
And then there was like, I mean, it was Manu Lord was in it, and I think Menendez was also in it. And they did this like, they did 6x4, and they were going like inside, cross, like straight, cross, straight, like, and they were saying what they were doing. And I found this like really mesmerizing, and especially the club rhythms they were like, I don't know how many, I want to say 10, but let's say there were 5. I was like blown away, so I think they were a massive group, but I don't think there were so many. Anyway, they did club rhythms but in unison, and it was really strong, like just like juggling and then hitting like both body and like the handles, so it was like this, and but together and in canon, and I was like, fuck, that's so cool. And then so I got really inspired, but I didn't do really anything about it then. And then I did like 2004 I did a like, as I was in circus school, I got a special assignment to do a show with a drummer, and I met this drummer, and then in his studio there was like a lot of these plastic tubes, like these Boomwhackers, actually, like made for kids to like boom boom boom, and I started to play with those a bit, and I'm like, what is this? I just brought them as some, like, go ahead. And then I took these and started to play around with them, and like found so much stuff. And then so I made a little piece that I showed at school, and people really loved it. And then I did a 10-week work, actually, like a deep dive, where I tried like so many variations. And yeah, we try, like, you know, because you're quite limited, because I did 3 and 4, I tried some 5, but it's very hard because they're super light, they're different lengths, so it's very hard with 5, for example. 4 is quite okay, but you're still limited to like 4 notes or 3. So then we tried, you know, like taping cross, taping like T's, taping like, different figure, like a square and triangles to have different, to get more notes. But then, I mean, I kind of came back to the simple form that now I do, like my act now that I've been doing for 20 years actually now, is like 3 notes, and then I do some body percussion at the same time, and like some melody with, so I like stomp, and I go, do this like with my tongue, and whistle a melody over the melody. this sound is kind of like nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I started to add, instead of in sync, the turnovers. This is also double turnovers in 43.
Yeah.
But instead, it's just more swing. Yeah, and it works, and I love it. I love to perform it because it's about something else. Like the juggling becomes just a mean of making some other art form, kind of, which is really nice. It's like it's really cheesy to say it's the brush or something of the painter, but like the juggling is not the technical side of juggling, but there is also technical element. Like you do like some double turnovers, and you normally stretch the dwell time, because if you do rhythms with balls, let's say, if I would do like side swaps perfectly, they should always be a straight rhythm. Otherwise, you fucked up. You hear when you fuck up heights because it go like this. But then you play with that. So you do a, I don't know, let's say 4-3 or 4-1, and you stretch one dwell time, and all of a sudden you get, instead of da 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 da, you get da 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 da. If I do it perfect, it should just be da 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 da. So then you can play with like dwell time. It is still 4-1, but you can build a lot of rhythms. Yeah, that was a
Awesome answer.
Okay, good.
Absolutely awesome answer.
Yeah.
We should maybe even do some of that stuff back at the practice space.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great.
I mean, Jay is doing a lot of musical juggling in different ways than me, and he does a lot of like with technology and stuff, which I'm also into now. And there's been a lot of like research with it, also with tracking, like that you have a sensor, let's say by height, and when you throw the balls through these heights, you go, let's say you have three like dun, 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 dun. So then it's like when there's a lot of balls, like it gets crazy. But you could use that and make it something more. But so then there like but so I think that there is like 4 different ways to do juggling music or musical juggling, and one is like that you take a music piece as a starting ground, and you take the music and try to make it into juggling. The other is that you take juggling and see what kind of music it becomes in the other sense, and then it's like doing music very in sync, doing juggling very in sync with music, which also becomes very musical. And then you have like doing it together, many like if you have many jugglers, you can also, one do a melody, and one can focus on rhythm only, and one can focus on the, I don't know, atmosphere. You can be different instruments like a band. Maybe there's one more genre that we didn't find yet, but there's left to be discovered.
Just like the 4th object.
Yeah, exactly. The 4th shape.
Yeah.
It's the fifth world of musical juggling. No, so like I mean I don't know. There should be more people doing it, and there's for sure people that I don't know about, and it's very nice. Like there's many that when you do it, I want to talk more about this and ask you about this and this, and like, yeah, sure. But then in the end, there's not so often you get into this. Like me and Jay had a lot of discussions about musical juggling. He's really into it, and I know, I mean, the Gandinis do it a lot, and they combine with dance too, but they do a lot of rhythms and melodies, and it's a beautiful work. And this I cannot pronounce the name, but Les Objects Volants, like the flying object, the French company. They did that also with Boomwhackers, but I also know they did other musical stuff before, and they're also into rhythms. There's also a good example of this. So let's say the thing that you juggle to music in a very, like, you really build your juggling to the music, also becomes musical. Like, I had Laug as a really good example. When the music isn't, like, say, a pop song, if the music is quite, like, obscure or like like if kind of difficult or like advanced, and then you have it becomes very musical. And you could, I think he could do many of his juggling sequences on its own without the music, and it would be very rhythmical. Like, you hear when he practices, you hear his beanbags, like when they slap his hand, it's like it's really like a advanced rhythms, like but he doesn't to music, and it's fantastic also. So like it's just different ways into it. But I did a lot of like research both ways when I did my tubes. Like, we took a lot of famous melodies, and it was mostly like children melodies because we only had like 3 or 4 notes, and like, okay, how do I juggle that melody? And it's quite very interesting, and you can sometimes find very weird juggling that you, for example, with rhythm we also took like drum beats, like normal drum beats, and like isn't normal, but then you have like all this like normal drum fills or drum beats we took, and let's make them juggling and loop them. And then I found there's like a little extra, like I found these small hits on balls. Like, this is back in 2006. And not many people were doing this small taps on the ball before you catch it. So instead of catching it, you like, so you get that, so you can, so it's just a little like this.
Nice,
Yeah.
Peter. Nice.
So like, but then, and for example, this one I took like a normal, like like a normal drum beat. Like, for example, so that one came from drums into juggling, and the same with yeah. It's also like drums into juggling.
Yeah, I like the way that you can make it louder by.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because that's a snare. And So it comes like funny techniques if you go from the music side into juggling, and it can also, if you go other way, if you go from juggling with either if rhythmical or if it's a melody object and you do a normal juggling pattern, it can become very nice musical like melodies or rhythms that you wouldn't have thought about as music. You would never have done it going, okay, let's write a song. You would never do that melody, but it comes and it's like they can be very interesting and really cool. And, so they add to each other. They complement each other, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, because juggling is rhythm, like basically, like I said with Siteswap, like you hear, like if someone juggles, no matter what they juggle, there's a rhythm always.
Yeah.
Every trick has its own rhythm. Like a half shower will be like a bit of shuffle, like normally. And
what we're going to do is that I am going to do some juggling, and you're going to be facing the wrong way. You're going to guess what pattern I'm doing.
I don't know, maybe I suck at this.
No, I reckon you'll be good at this. I'll do 3 balls.
Okay. That might be 5 through 1. Oh, wait. Wait.
No.
Why is it like?
It's a bit of a
Oh, okay. Is it a 5 number one? Is it like?
5 period, yes.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes! Yeah. Yes! I'm so impressed.
Ooh. There's like there's some sync there.
Yeah.
Oh shit! There's like, I would say like there's like maybe how would it be like a 6x4 and a 5 across, like.
Kind of.
Fuck. Okay, one more.
Yeah, again. It's difficult.
It's super difficult. Okay, but there's you're throwing one hand and then 2 hands at least. Boom, boom, right?
There's no crossing.
Okay. Oh, okay. In that case, you go. Wait. But is it like a 6-4 same time?
Yes.
Yeah. So is it like 6-4? What 4-2 or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Nice. I don't know how good I'll be.
I mean, it's fucking. If I do them perfectly, it's just gonna be. You know?
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh shit! I can see. Sorry. I didn't realize. Sorry.
It's gonna be. Maybe I'll do this. It's easier.
Four balls.
4 balls. Yeah. It's maybe not the most common one, but.
Wow, is it quite a few periods?
The 4.
It 5. Oh, 6, 4, 5, 1.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Wow, that was good.
I don't know how. I thought it was 5, 5, 1, but they weren't coming down. They had different thingies.
Yeah, but we tried a lot of stuff with Jay actually back in school. I remember now, with this band idea. So like and there was also a musician, like a friend of him there, playing with us. Now I have to find his name soon.
I will stick it down in the in the line.
Yeah. No, okay. So we did like for example, let's say a very common one. If you want to do like a beat, kind of like a metronome, you have 3 normal balls and 1, like say, rhythm egg or a ball that sounds, because then you get like, and you just do normal 4 ball cascade. But then if you add another one is, let's say, doing 2 balls and a rhythm egg in the same rhythm, then it's that, and those against each other, it's like you can do 4 against 3, and it can be quite advanced rhythms with just. Then if you yeah, you can be more people, and you can also just move the sounding ball one beat in every pattern, and you will, it will be a straight beat, but you will have like it's very simple, but it's quite fun. A lot of these things we did a lot of those with Jay back in long ago. But I was just thinking actually, so a good example of this, like the Les Objets Volants, this French company, they have the 5 jugglers passing the Boomwhackers. Dum, dum, dum. It's a classical piece they do, and it's beautiful, but it's still not really like, it would be nice to do that piece and take it to more juggling, let's say, and I think it could be very advanced and very cool, and it doesn't, like, musical wise is perfect already, and that they've been taking a music piece and making into juggling, and in this case it's mostly manipulating and passing, and they do some passing behind legs, under legs, behind back to each other in different ways. It's a super nice choreography, but it would be nice to do it juggling, because I think you could actually juggle a piece like that with a bit of work, and or you don't have to do that set piece. You do a similar thing and see what the music becomes, because I think it can be very nice, and you just have to experiment till you find the melody that will work, because maybe the first time you just do a juggling pattern, it will be a very uninteresting melody, let's say. But with some switches around, and especially if you're 5 like they are, let's say there's 3 juggling actually, and 2 are just they're switching and stealing, like you do like takeouts and in this pattern, and you could have very advanced rhythms, and even takeouts and hitting, changing, so there's 2 like it can switch around. Like I could do this for weeks, like change around the people, and I think we need to get Gandinis to do Boomwhackers and some crazy passing patterns and steals, and it will be amazing music. Yeah, so there's this Japanese jugglers that put like bells inside rings, and that's very nice. They done both actually, and I saw 2 clips. One is they juggle these bells, and it looks like they're doing more like juggling tricks, like a pattern, and these bells are creating music, which is beautiful. It's really nice, this like tender, like soft bells sound. It sounds in the video at least. And then they have one where they do a famous song. I don't remember which song it is now, but they do a famous song that they juggle, and then there's a lot of like a bit juggling, passing, boom, and maybe just hitting one in the hand to make this melody. So they done both. I think they've been doing a lot of research, and I haven't looked into those rings, but I think it's nice. But I mean, again, that's their thing. But I like that thing also, just taking a normal, doesn't have to be even a juggling prop, but making a new prop that makes a noise basically, and then it will also become music.
Yeah.
Toby posted a video, so Toby Walker posted a video, it's a while back now, a few years ago, where he's by a drum kit, and he has like his foot on the hi-hat, I think, and he maybe headbounds and juggles, so he like totally doing like a drum kit alone, like really cool rhythm juggling. And there's also this clip that, I mean, every time there's juggling or music involved, you know, I get in social media 100 messages from friends like, have you seen this? And yes, I have seen this, but it's nice. There was this very viral video of a street performer. He's like juggling sticks and he has drums that are standing like at an angle like this, a bit from him, and he juggles and he throws them and they bounce back, the drumsticks. It's like doom, doom, doom. It's crazy. It's so accurate. Like he throws them like as a flat tomahawk basically, and they bounce back like perfect into pattern. It's like really, it's really nice.
How about the piano guy?
So there's many also ways to do like musical juggling with technology. I mean, the classical one is the bounce, like you do like 5, I mean as many as you want. Normally it's with 5 like force bounce on a plate that looks like a piano, but it's like a trigger, like a trigger, and you can program, like if you have there's a trigger mic on the board, and then paint it as piano, let's say, to make it simple. Then you can just program there's an arpeggio that every time it hits, it should be the note of this melody. It's like or whatever you want, and then you just bounce and you can. They make the illusion that they play different keys on a piano. They maybe move the pattern slightly back and forth, but it's technology, but it's still a beautiful trick. And I think also with this you can make a lot. And I mean, the extreme of that is like Bobby May back in the days. He did like headstand and did 5-ball bounce on a drum.
I originated a headstand where I stand on my head on a pedestal and have a drum where I bounce the balls against the drum to the tune of Yankee Doodle.
Wow.
Yeah, but and then like like now there came this. Actually, I used also these oddballs to make, and there's also like endless possibilities. There you can. So they're basically a MIDI trigger, so you can connect them to your computer or an app in the phone or whatever. You can have differences like when you like hit hard, like you can. So if I bounce it, it's like a bass drum, and when I catch it, it's a snare. For example.
Wow.
So like here, for example, it's. So now it would be like. Wait, wrong one. Sorry. There, I needed to add it. No, so it's like. Baby, you're a hard one day she's got blood on your face, big disgrace, criminal name all over the face.
Love it, man. Love it.
I didn't know the lyrics, unfortunately. And so the catch of this ball can become any instrument you want, or any note you want. And in those, you could also, with another program, you could also make an arpeggio. So like I could have one ball and play that same melody. Like now it was the din, 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 I had as an example. But then if you have 4 balls, you can make very advanced stuff. And one can be the chords, and one can be the melody, and one can be the drums, and so on. and then we go green, red, blue. Yeah, so then I had that like. So I do like a dum dum cat dum 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 dupa boom bam and dupa boom bam 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 and then.
Nice. So has that black one got a...
That's like a synth.
Okay.
And it's different note, like, oh, this one is actually a arpeggio, so this is 3 notes. And this one is depending on, the note is depending on how hard I catch it, so it's like. So with that is a lot, and there's also this, I also got them, I got one thing, maybe someone will beat me to it now, but I bought these sensors that are like, they have like this accelerometer, you put them on your wrists, and they, you can have them make melody as depending how you move, and then, or you can have them make effects for already existing music, and it's for like dancers. They call like, I don't remember what they're called now, but they're made for that you can like make effects and like really experiment on music, let's say. But with that also, it's like an extra layer you can use for juggling, and I mean it will be very repetitive if you do juggling like this, but there's also unrepetitive patterns that you can do with juggling. Or maybe you juggle a melody and these are effects, and yeah, I think technology, I mean now there's no limit with technology. There's also Ville Valo did a few years ago, also using tracking technology. He juggled, I think it was like teddy bears in different colors, and there was a camera tracking, so when the red one went up, let's say it sounded like wee, and the blue one sounded woo, and the white one sounded wee, so it's like wee, woo, rah, wee, woo, rah, like when he juggled them. So yeah, now with tracking you could do also whatever you want. And now I heard there's another juggler building his own musical, like trigger balls kind of. And I got to hear yesterday, so there's coming more. And Jay has his own guy build. He has another type of musical ball that he built that can also trigger both the catch and the top of the trajectory. Yeah. So it can go ping in the turn, in the weightless moment, or in the catch. So then you can maybe mix those, and yeah, it opens up a lot of new doors. Like now there's just imagination that puts the limit. I'm still so old school and into the analog stuff, but I think it's super cool, the possibilities.
Yeah, that would be a great idea if you juggle 5 for example.
Yeah.
When it gets to its peak, it goes pin.
Yeah.
Pin, 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 pin. 9
Yeah.
5 to 1.
Yeah.
Pin, 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 pin.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they all should peak at the same time.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That could be actually, but I mean, what
That
the
was
chance
super
of
cool.
you getting perfect?
Yeah, but even if it's like ping, 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 flam, it's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I never thought about that. The one would never go, but all the ads, the 4.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, so should do that.
Yeah, cool ideas.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's-
we should do some food, and then we should go and juggle.
do you want to end it up?
I have nothing smart left to say.
Nice. Eric, thanks so much, man.
Yeah.
Peter, sorry.
Then like, since I'm also a bit in the cube world, there is even worse.
Oh, bloody hell.
It's like the world champions are like 9.
I can't express how inspired I felt after my visit. Not just in juggling, but in life in general. I was not expecting him to be a bloody mega beast. Please, can someone please hire this guy for a juggling convention? Either for a show or for workshops. It's mad that we've never met before, and it's mad that he doesn't go to enough conventions and inspire other people like he has done with me. Okay, I'll just quickly check my audio.
Hello.
Okay, great.
Okay.
But then when more people join, now it's split up into the three
Oh,
beasts.
yeah, I see. Let's go.
Hello.
Joe,
Hello.
because we are interviewing the performers. So,
Oh, cool.
David.
Hello, David.
Hello.
It seems like you need some more props. So much
Oh,
stuff.
this is just this is one wall of 5 rooms full of stuff.
Wow.
Like
Oh my goodness.
only a part of a wall.
Wow.
Oh, crikey, Moses, David.
Hey, look. It's hold on.
Okay.
I dropped something. Hold on.
We can see
There we
you.
go. That's Bobby May's head pedestal. They did the upside down.
No way, are you
Whoa.
serious? Is that the one that we showed in the video?
Yep.
Holy shit, that is insane.
Yeah, so he would.
Wait, stand on his head and juggle?
His head goes
Yeah.
here. You grab here. His head would go there. He'd kick up. He would grab these 5 balls,
Yeah.
and
Can
then
you-
the drum would be down there, and he would.
Wow. Hello, Jay.
Jay, nice to see you. Peter's here too.
Nice to see all of you. Hey, David. Hey, Joe. Ivan. Lewis.
Hey.
Wow. Hello, Peter.
Hey, guys.
Peter, we need to meet sometime. I met
Yeah.
all of these guys except for you now.
Yeah. We should
we
for
live
sure.
close. Yeah.
Wow, you have the best background, David, for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
aye.
if I'm going to do any interview or a podcast or anything about juggling, it would be sacrilege not to do it with a background like this. If I have the background, why not?
Yeah.
Do it?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I have to work on mine.
Okay. Should we just start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this podcast. We are now here with so many great jugglers. We have Joe Fisher, we have David Cain, Jay Gilligan, and Peter Åberg. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hello.
it's really a pleasure having all of you guys here. Really big names, so it's really cool for me and Lewis to have you here on this podcast.
Yeah.
And we're going to get started straight away. We have now just watched the video about Peter Åberg and his music and juggling. And there's many different topics there that he is talking about and showing and more. So I'm wondering, Joe, is there anything in this video that was particularly interesting for you?
Well, I mean, there's a big revelation that Peter and Eric aren't brothers, which was news to me. I genuinely had never heard that before. That blew my mind. But I really like the breakdown of the 4 different types of musical juggling you made. I don't think I've ever heard it broken down that clearly before. Which you had like the turning music into juggling, and then turning juggling into music, doing juggling in sync with music, and a juggling band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like the 4 kind of categories. But what
I wondered, like, what makes the juggling band distinct from... Now I'm just asking you questions on your video, but I wanted to know, like, what makes a juggling band distinct from, like, turning juggling into music?
Yeah, I mean, for me, after I saw that video, I mean, it was not something I thought about for many years. This was something I said while we talked, and I think that after I was like, I mean, it's the same. It's just many people doing it at the same time. So I mean, the juggling band was actually a thing that you did, Jay, like long ago while we were in school. Like we took like a song, for example, and then let's say it was a bass beat, like doom 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 doom, and I would juggle that, and then the drums would be like a drum beat, and one was juggling that. So then we juggled each an instrument of the song, so it was like a juggling band. And I mean, that's kind of juggling to music, I suppose. But it was when we talked about it, I just said some different categories. So it wasn't my like a too long thought. I think the first three are good, like clear categories, and the fourth one was a random.
But I think it counts. Are we all magicians? Well, I'm not, but are you guys? You're not, Jay. Wow, I thought you would have been. I thought you wouldn't know. Wow. Okay, Joe.
No.
Wow, that's incredible. But David and Peter, what?
Wait, magician or musician?
Musician, I think.
And the music one.
I also heard magician. I'm like, no, I know some counting tricks, but
I heard magician, but I knew it was music.
So it's just my accent.
I wish I was a magician. I am a musician. I play drums.
Okay.
Not very well, but I've played drums most of my life.
Hey, Jay, did you mishear me?
No, I thought you meant musician since we have the Peter's video there, but I also don't really formally play. I would not call myself a musician in any sense of the word. In the context of like what you mean with that question, I'm definitely not a musician.
Yeah,
but you do music.
Yeah. Somehow, a little bit as a hobby.
That's very nice. I'm wondering, David.
Yes.
Could you take us all the way back until how was juggling done before? Has it been? Are there any recordings of kind of people doing stuff with juggling and music, combining it in different ways, creating music with the juggling? Tell us a bit of the history.
A very long history. In fact, as a little side note, the very first topic I ever researched and wrote about as a juggling historian was this topic.
Wow.
It appeared in this Juggle magazine, and it's a very long article about this topic. It goes back, like, amazingly, like Edward Van Wyck, one of the very first prop manufacturers, one of the types of clubs he sold were, quote, musical clubs. They had bells in them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But there is just a really long history. Franco Piper was an amazing story. It was a guy that juggled and spun on the ground and manipulated banjos while playing them. He could juggle 4 banjos and play them while toss juggling.
Wow.
And he did with juggling 3. He did fairly complicated things. And then he would spin you'd have to see pictures of them. I did a whole article about him. He would spin banjos on the floor upright, and go over to one and strum a chord and respin it and go over and do another chord. And it was just amazing, weird stuff.
Is there footage, or is it so old?
No, there's no footage. In fact, of all the juggling acts of all history, that's one I really want to see the most. I want to see Cinquevalli and Karen Salerno, but I really want to see Franco Piper to see how the heck he was doing what he was doing.
I don't mean to interrupt you, David, but in more modern times, Dr. Hot and Neon
did,
right? So they did passing with the banjos, and I actually called Dr. Hot a couple years ago. Peter, it was at your house one night, if you remember. It doesn't matter, but I was at your house and I called him. Yeah. But they would tune each banjo to a certain chord, right? Oh. Yeah, note, whatever. And then as they throw it, you kind of flick the strings, and then they could play a tune that way. I don't remember the song, but Dr. Hot was kind of mentioning he might sell that trick. So David, if we should buy it, and we should totally do it.
They played Ode to Joy, which only has actually five notes in the whole song. And so they tune each banjo ukulele to one note. Yeah, but Franco Piper apparently did much more complicated stuff than that. And then there were other people back 100 plus years ago. And Franco Piper was like 1901. Wow. But there were other people around that same time that did similar things. The Howard brothers were two brothers that juggled banjos and everything. Yeah, so Dr. Hot and Neon were the most recent folks to do that. But there was another group that more recently that did that around the same time, and that is German duo Duet Komplett. I'm looking at my article. But so there's things like that. There were tambourine jugglers and tambourine spinners. There's a long lineage of people playing percussion by either juggling and hitting things with clubs or mallets or bouncing balls off of them. Right now there's a viral video going around of somebody playing a drum set with bouncing 5 balls. That's been around for 40, 50 years with various people. And you've got, Uno Lanka was a Sri Lankan performer. His real name was Dennis Kroner. He did a act where he did really difficult balances, the golf club balance and other really difficult balances while playing instruments really, really well. Wow. He played in his act, and his entire act was nothing but playing instruments while doing balancing or juggling. Wow. I actually do an act like that where I juggle and play instruments at the same time.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. His musicianship was like, really high level. He played guitar, violin, and flute, and I think at least one other instrument, but like really complicated pieces while doing these really complicated tricks. And probably the most famous one was he had a violin mouse stick, a violin bow as a mouse stick. Yeah, and then balanced inverted a pyramid of glasses on it.
Okay, yeah.
Played the violin under the bow. Wow.
There's so many like crazy concepts that was done before in a way. I felt like it was like, how many things can we just fit together and just make something cool?
Well, absolutely. And I could give you 50 examples, like balancing a bugle on your lips and playing it at the same time.
Oh, yeah. There's a Swedish really good musician, Gunhild Carling, she plays the double bass and she balances a trumpet and plays it at the same time.
Right. So, but that trick's been around for well over 100 years.
Yeah, it's super cool.
But so just the lineage of people doing what we're discussing today, it goes back at least 125 years and probably earlier than that.
Yeah, probably earlier. Wow. That's so cool, David. I thought about like something when you said kind of the banjo ukuleles, tuning them to the same note and stuff. Mm-hmm. But because Peter, I think you said something about taping together multiple boomwhackers, but that's maybe to have more notes. But I also thought about what about to put some specific boomwhackers together to create chords?
Oh,
yeah. Like, could that be an idea? Like have like 3 together, bum bum bum, and then have a chord of boomwhackers.
For sure, it's possible. Like I tried like many different things. The problem is when they if they touch each other, you kind of lose the sound a lot.
Oh yeah.
So I guess you have to have some sort of construction that they would like be a part of it. I tried like the crosses. I tried like T's. I tried squares.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like back in school. Like it must have been at 2006 or something. So yeah. So it's a while back.
So your idea
something.
was, if it's like a T shape, if you caught it here, it would make one noise, but if you caught it at the top, it would make a different. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Nice.
And the same with the crosses. You could kind of do like a. I mean, you would do one like 40, like 1 1/4 spin, and you get the next note. So I could have 6 notes instead of 3, and you could decide. But it was like kind of hard to. I mean, I should maybe go back to it. I don't know. Like it was very difficult to make the distinct, because you kind of they're not so noisy. So you need to kind of flip them and catch them a bit hard to get the good tone or note. So then it was hard with the cross to get the good like note all the time, like to have a good sound. So I kind of gave up.
Yeah.
Would it be easier just to do the same idea electronically, to do a cross, you know, and the 4 prongs of it each have a different MIDI note?
Yeah. For sure it would be easier.
Yeah, way easier. And you could do a lot of cool stuff with that if you were juggling 3 plus, more or less, plus signs or crosses. Yeah. You could have all 12 notes. You could have all 12 notes of an octave or of a scale.
Yeah, for sure. And you could and you could probably then also have just a stick with different part of the stick being a different note. So if you catch,
you could do the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had an idea first to make a table, like I put magnets in them and have a table that I can, you know, place them on the table and take a new one, like doing 4 to 3, let's say, and you switch.
Oh yeah.
Switch in. But I like never came around building it, and then I started to just develop more advanced stuff with 3 and 4, and that was what I focused on for a while.
Because I'm just wondering, the main issue was kind of when you stick them together, you kind of stop the vibration, which kills the noise. Is that the main issue?
Yeah, that was not with the cross. I still had the sound, but I think if you would do them like a chord, like you said, I think that would maybe be a problem. I haven't tried. I should try. I haven't tried that actually. So yet to be explored.
Wow, that's really cool.
Cool.
Jay, Peter, he mentioned into the video that you're really into technology with combining music and juggling. Could you just tell us a little bit more about different ideas, different projects you've had with this?
Yeah, sure. I can also tell you maybe where that whole thing came from, because it's kind of a fun little journey. So I think David and I were pretty much the same generation of juggling. I mean, we grew up around the same time and both from Ohio and from the same place. And so when I started off juggling, everybody told me I had to use music that was like jazz music, and that you couldn't use music with lyrics because lyrics are distracting, and you kind of copied the jugglers of the past in one way, like maybe vaudeville, for example, and then they're playing some jazz music or something. And I remember in my little bubble of the world of my friends who were juggling, it was Sean McKinney who came out one year and started using like pop music with lyrics, and it was like a pop song. And for me, and it was like a revelation. I remember asking Sean, I asked Sean one day, I said, hey, that's kind of wrong. You're not supposed to like just use a normal song, because we're doing juggling. It's different. So you have to use some sort of special music. And then Sean said an answer. It really struck me. He said, yeah, but Jay, I have to practice this act every day. So I chose a song that I liked. And I was like, oh, wow, you can pick music that you like to listen to. That's kind of cool. And so I started thinking about it more with my friends, and it was like, oh, wait a second. If we're going to copy the jugglers of the past, well, back in the day, jazz music wasn't like music of the past. It was like contemporary music of the time. Like jazz music was of its time. And so then it was this idea of like, oh, we should use music of our time. So we used a lot of pop songs. And then you kind of have this 3 minute, you know, the ideal pop songs, like 3 minutes long, whatever, chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, blah, 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 whatever it is. We used that for many years, but I got really sick of it because for two reasons. Number one would be that if you're trying to follow the music, you'd always end up with like maybe on the wrong hand, you have to do an extra cascade throw or something if you're left-handed or right-handed. I got so annoyed of like putting extra throws in my routines to be on the right hand or the right side or to fill out the extra beat of music that I didn't really have planned for. I thought it was like really diluting the juggling that I wanted to do. I was like, I have all these extra throws and like, kind of messy. At the same time too, like I say, the pop song is very short. And I found the structure of the music was imposing itself on the structure of the juggling. And I was like, I just want to juggle how I want to juggle. Like, this is ridiculous. Why do I have to follow this stupid, arbitrary other thing telling me what to do? So then the solution was to the solution is to do the inverse, right? So instead of the juggling following the music would follow the juggling. Well, to do that, I got a musician, you know, like a live musician, right? And then that solved a lot of problems because they could follow what you were doing. And it solved one of the main problems of performing, which was that if you are choreographing to music and you have a mistake, you drop, you're just screwed. You're editing in your mind as you go. You're like, oh, now I missed those 2 bars. Like, what trick do I come back in on? And I hated that. So you have like a live musician. So you're free to just like make as many mistakes as you want and they're going to follow you. And so then it just became a question of economics because I couldn't always afford to hire a live musician. So at some point I was like, well, I really love the freedom that live music affords me, but I can't afford it all the time economically. And so then I started playing music myself. And then the solution to that was, it wasn't really to learn an instrument, right? Because even if I could play guitar or trumpet or whatever, I still wanted to go juggle at the same time. So the solution to that was to get into electronics, which is the whole reason I started the story because of your question. So then I was like, okay, electronic music is a way to have live music that I'm quote unquote kind of playing, but not really playing like physically. So I could still juggle at the same time. And then that transitioned over the years into like, oh, well, some of these electronic solutions to have live music on stage could also be translated into some different sorts of juggling techniques. So like really easy ones would be, for example, like motion tracking or like video capture, like live video tracking where you're having like a Xbox 360 camera or a webcam or something, you know, tracking either your hand movements or the colors of the objects. And then you're mapping, like MIDI mapping that to notes or whatever. And also just really rudimentary things like capturing the sounds of different types of, like a ring grind makes a grinding noise and hitting clubs together or something, and then either manipulating those sounds into a soundscape or loop, like a loop pedal or something, like Peter does that too really wonderfully. Wow. But really the context of it was more of just this idea of like, how can we have the freedom of the juggling outside the structure of the music? Like, how can juggling have its own intentional structure inside itself? And that led to this electronics for me personally. I really tried to find acoustic solutions to these things, especially recently. So there's like a thing called a Shruti box, which is like a little accordion, but it's a little box that you squeeze, a kind of square rectangular thing. And you can get a foot pedal. So I can juggle and I can pump my foot and have the Shruti box drone. And it's not really like playing music, but I would love it if there was acoustic solutions. Because, for example, most acoustic music, it's a one-to-one mapping of a gesture versus a result that you hear. It's very, you strum a guitar, we see the strum, we hear the noise. It's one-to-one mapped, like it's comprehensible. Whereas I'll just finish up right now. I'll tell a little story. The Flying Karamazov brothers had a show called Luniverse, and it was a collaboration with MIT Laboratories, Technical Institute. And they had like, I don't know, 360-degree space around the stage mapped into like chunks of space, like invisibly with sonar. They had like 6 sonar sticks and they all had backpacks. and they had gloves that would sense the, what's it called, the altimeter or whatever, like the height of your hand. It was like mapped within 2 centimeters of like tolerance of variable.
Wow.
And then they played a song where they went around the stage and like would punch their hands in different parts of the stage and play a song, you know? And I remember Mark told me from the Flying K's that they kept an acoustic guitar backstage hidden. I said, why do you carry around an acoustic guitar? And he said, well, it's for when the computer crashes and we have to reset the whole system. I run and get the guitar and I sing Wild Thing for the audience. And he said, after a while, you know, the Wild Thing was the best part of the show. So then we just got rid of the whole technology and now we just play Wild Thing and people love it. And it's also that idea of like, you know, you have a MIDI mapped sonar 3D environment and you're just punching your hand in space. It's like you could accomplish the same thing by just recording it and pressing play. And then I just go like this with my hands and I tell you this whole story about sonar, kind of the same result. So there's a lot of struggles there with technology where I wish I could overcome that barrier of like it's opaque, like most technology is just opaque in terms of the process. So kind of annoying sometimes.
Cool. Would that use the same technology as, because Peter said in the video that you have some balls that makes the noise at its peak and also the catching position. Is that where that idea came from?
So I have these balls that I work with a guy named Drew who lives in Vegas. He worked for Cirque du Soleil for a while and he builds things, electronic things. For years and years, I wanted to have a ball that triggered a sound on the peak instead of on the catch. And that's because theatrically, I used to work with a lot of orchestras. I would do a lot of big orchestra shows with like 50-person orchestra or whatever. And at the back of a concert hall, 2,000 people, when you catch the ball in your hand with a normal MIDI trigger ball, that's when the note happens. But visually, when you're doing a cascade, more or less, when you have a ball in your hand, there's one in the air. And so people sitting all the way back in a 2,000-seat theater, they see a ball in the air, but that's not the ball making noise. It became theatrically very confusing. Like it wasn't very clear, the visual with the audible part of it. Yeah. And so for years and years and years, I was like, I need to have the trigger on the peak that when you hear the noise, you see the ball. That was like the idea. Okay. And so, so Drew finally, I tried to get those made for years and years and years. And Drew finally made them. He explained the mathematics to me one night. I have no idea how they work. It's like magic. I don't get it.
Because I've been wondering, like hearing about this and also both your projects, Jay, and also for you, Peter, like how do you make it in a way? Like it sounds like you need an engineering degree in a way to kind of figure all of this out in a way. Do you outsource other people usually, or do you actually make everything most of the things yourself? Now you said you had someone else, Jay.
Yeah, so luckily I found this guy, Drew, who I collaborate with, who makes me props. We have a nice collaboration together. But Peter, I'm going to throw it to you with a little setup here, which is, the answer to the question is that we are stuck with other people's creations. So most of our time we spend on the internet, like looking for toys or apps or Kickstarter projects or whatever. So for example, now Peter's got this great piece with these balls that he didn't make and he didn't build and he can't code them or program them. And then they updated the iOS app and fun times broke the piece.
Yeah, that happened just now. So like I have an iPad that is like dedicated to LED props and to these oddballs that I use, this Kickstarter thing. And then I never have it online because I don't want it to update ever, because I have my act set and the sounds and all this thing. And I did a airdrop, and I had to turn my Wi-Fi on to make it faster, made some music, and I was like stressed. I was going on a cruise ship to do like my show, and I'd done some new stuff, and then so I set it up, and I needed to I did something, maybe my daughter or something, and I forgot it on. And this next morning when I was packing, I was just, I should just check that this works. Luckily I did, because then my whole iPad, every app was updated. My LED thing updated, and they changed the rules that you cannot. You need to have the music file, and before it was like from YouTube or something. It's better now, but anyway, my programming was gone for my LED act. All the sounds were gone for the balls. And I had a gig in the evening. I had a gig in the evening. So and I just picked, they had like new sounds, and now I talk to them and they send me the sounds. So I have the sounds again, but now they added in these balls, which is cool, not for juggling though, but it's for them, I guess. They added that it does a different trigger when you spin it, when you shake it, when you tap it, and when you throw it. On top, they also have that top thing. And but then it means that I have a very bad technique. So when I throw a ball, it spins in the air. And I have this trouble with Jay's balls too. So then it doesn't, since it's spinning, it's too much information.
And you can't turn it off? The specific parts?
No, that's in the software now. So now, because they updated the software of the balls as well. To make it work. Unfortunately. So if it spins in the air, it's too much information. So the catch doesn't trigger as well. So now I'm using like a hi-hat with a delay that is exactly the delay of my pattern. So when I go, it's like, and then it's 4-ball rhythm, like 4-ball pattern rhythm. But now since it's spinning, the delay doesn't happen, because that gets killed by this. So now it's just I did it's a nightmare. It would be good to be able to code it. I don't build those technology things myself at all. I can build like acoustic things myself, obviously. Like I like to build things and I do other props, but not technological things. I know there's the Swiss Noah from Switzerland has done his own balls that are both LED and sound. I don't know much more about them than that. Like he put some videos up during the fall. Noah, I tried to Schildknecht. He has the hardest name in the world.
Instead of building things ourselves, it's kind of about combining things you find, right? So it's like a loop pedal exists, a microphone exists,
exactly.
This little iOS app exists, this children's toy exists, and you try to mush them all together into something that kind of works.
It's true. And I had the same thing as Jay said, this while making your act. Basically since I started juggling, I've been doing my acts. I've been creating my music live on stage first with loops. So I've been like, usually with bass, on the bass, I can do both the drums and a beat and chords. So I usually use the bass and I would do the music and then I would juggle. Or like, I would add something, like juggle a bit, add something to the music, juggle a bit, and it would be, what I did for many years. I don't do it always. I do it still in some shows, but it's, it demands more of like the sound check, and if you don't bring your own sound system, which I anyway do, but it's
Just quickly before we move on, this reminded me of something that happened to me literally yesterday. Just a depressing story of working in these tiny economies that we work in, of these incredibly specific things that we need to have. I juggle a lot with these props called Chucka-Chucks, which are made by Joel Salem in Australia. They're these great shaker balls, which you can get.
Use them too.
Now he's got, they're so much fun, aren't they? I love them.
Amazing.
But I've been making a new act with them to put into one of the shows here with Spiegelworld. And they already a month ago, they were like, okay, how many Chucka-Chucks do you need for the act? And it's like, okay, well, I need 7 on stage, so I need 3 spares, and I need a warm-up set. And I got in touch with Joel, and the specific size and color and tone that I want, he just can't manufacture anymore, because the plastic manufacturer he was working with to build the balls, they don't make them in that size anymore. And blah blah blah. So he just had to send me what he had. So I had to like explain to this machine of Spiegelworld that like they want to buy whatever 20 balls. That's nothing for them for their props budget, but 20 balls don't exist. So I had to, when I was back in Australia, Joel just had to send me whatever he had of like his leftover stock and his personal ones, and I had a couple of my personal ones. And then one, just because of how we were mistreating them in the rehearsal, one broke yesterday. I had a plug pop out. And the props guy with the company is like, can't we just buy 5 more so this never is a problem again? And I had to say, no, we can't. It doesn't matter how much money you have. We can't buy more of these quite simple shaker balls.
Wow.
Because one plastic manufacturer, wherever Joel gets them made, the factory closed.
Joe, this is your chance.
Yeah.
Spiegelworld needs to start producing Chugga Chucks. Make it happen.
That's what I'm telling them. That's what I told them. I said they need to buy a factory, put it in Nipton, and they can make some Chugga Chucks.
You can buy mine for like $300 a piece.
Great. Don't tell them.
Joe, I've been wondering, because I've seen, I'm quite sure I've seen some of this stuff, maybe not the new things, but you have done that, used those sometimes for kind of the Scandagate shows at EJC, right? With two.
Oh yeah, they've made a couple of Scandagate appearances.
Yeah. Nice. But now I thought about transitioning a little bit into actually having music on in the background and doing juggling to that. And and Joe, I remember 2 acts from you. I'm not sure if you did them back to back in the same show once on EJC, but it's one of the 3 clubs. I think it's The Decision Is Mine, with hitting and all of these things, which I really enjoy. And then it's also, it was this one time where you did so many big 5-club side swaps, like really technical stuff, but it was with this really calm music, which I found so interesting. Like, because I've only seen the kind of these really hard technical tricks with kind of a bit of a pump in a way, like they want to get you going. But here you slowed everything down, and you kind of made the huge patterns beautiful in a way. And I was just wondering, with kind of these 2 acts, what was the starting point? Did you start out with, these are some nice tricks I want to do, or this is the atmosphere, or I really like this song, so I want to make something with that? Like, where do you begin, in a way?
Oh, good question. I mean, it's all of it. I wish I knew. Because what I find every time is it's just this whole swirling miasma of everything that just has to align perfectly at the same time. But usually coming into an act, which I'll say that those 2 pieces you're talking about are actually the same act. So you're remembering
it is.
well.
Okay,
They were part of the same act in the same show. There's this incredible piece of music, Adios by Benjamin Clementine, which is very energetic, and it's got this rolling sort of piano, like all the way through. And then inexplicably 2/3 of the way through, he just drops into a falsetto and just sings this beautiful kind of operatic sounding thing for about a minute. So that was totally just a gift of the music. Like, that's no editing by me. He just completely changes pace halfway
Wow, I didn't know that.
I'll send you some video or something, Lewis,
please,
to pop into this. But when I'm making a new act, it's just so many things. I wish I was better at making these things align at a time of my choosing, rather than just when they happen to work out. But usually I'll have there'll be a whole world of like technique and movement and style that I've just kind of been incubating for a year plus. Like with this act that we're talking about, this clubs act, there was just a whole, like, maybe for about 2 years, there was all this club stuff that I'd been working on. Some of it I'd pinched from old acts, but a lot of it was just this whole world of kind of like swoopy, multiplexy, dramatic 3-club
and a lot
juggling.
of hitting and
a lot of this stuff that I was getting really excited about, and I'd never really found a home for, but I kind of knew that I wanted to do something with it. But I was waiting for the right pieces of music, and I had a couple of false starts then, because it's just the process of waiting for the right song to come along. It's so frustrating.
What do you mean by false starts?
I picked a couple of pieces of music and decided to start making this act that I'd been wanting to make for a while, and the music just wasn't right.
Wow.
Which can be really frustrating because, you know, you get a month in and then you just have to look at what you've got, and I wasn't into it, and it didn't feel right. But then, this amazing piece of music came along, my friend recommended to me. And then I find it takes a long time to build up all the juggling and all the ideas and sort of picture how you want it to be. And then I tend to start from the music once it comes. So then this track came along, and it was about a month all up to make that entire piece.
Wow.
Because once you have the track, it's just like bam, bam, bam. You can take everything that you've got and just lay it out along the timeline of the music. And if you're lucky, it can go very quickly and work really well.
Yeah.
But this
when you have it, Joe, so do you try to get through the entire song like quite quickly, and after that you change some details here and there to kind of make it better, or do you try to really plan out this part, and then putting it all together?
Kind of both. I try and get a draft to the entire piece of music as quickly as I can, because otherwise I'm just never going to go anywhere. If I work on the first 8 counts first and get them perfect before I move on, I'm just never going to move on ever. Because we're all jugglers. I think we've all got that, that gene in us. But
I do have one.
But yeah, so I try and like take, you know, little just movements and maybe sequences of 5 or 10 seconds. If I can find a moment in the music that this sequence can align with the track without having to be edited too much, I'm just like, oh, thank goodness, I can just chuck that straight in. I don't even have to think about it. Wow. And I build out the entire act like that, and I'll be like, oh, there's this great drop I did behind my back where I kind of turn that takes half a second that occupies this particular pause in the rhythm perfectly. Great, that lives there now. And I don't really know what I do on either side of it, but I know I have to get into the position where I'm ready to catch behind my back. So then that goes on my to-do list for later, that I need to create 5 seconds of juggling where I end in that position. So I'm sort of building from both ends inward and from a central point outward, and eventually everything just meets up throughout the track. But to answer your question too about the 5 club part in this particular act that contrasts with everything else, I was just getting really excited about tower patterns. Like I finally got my 9-7-5-3-1 super solid with 5 clubs, and I was feeling all excited about that. And I had like a 7-5-3 with a flat, and my 180 was feeling pretty hot. So there were just all of these. I kind of realized at about that time there were all of these 5 club tricks that I was enjoying doing for one, and also had this beautiful sort of lilting quality to them where they all build up. You know, like a 9-7-5-3-1, like builds up to a pause and then collapses. Yeah. And there was a big multiplexy thing that I was doing that had the same quality. Yeah. So I just realized I had all of these 5 club tricks that had this. 5 clubs is a fast pattern, but a 9-7-5-3-1 is a very slow, comparatively build. Yeah. It'll come up to 1 and then pauses and then comes back down.
Imagine if all the clubs made a sound at their peak.
Oh. You mentioned that in Peter's video, I think, and that blew my head off. So, that was so nice. Yeah. Jay, you have to do a 9-7-5-3-1 with your balls. That'd be amazing.
We'll call Drew. Yeah.
I was thinking about that, and there would be a gap. There'd be like bum 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 gap, and then boom, and then bum 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 again, because you have to wait to collect all of the beats. So that would be Jay. You should do that, and we'll stick it in here.
It's your homework.
I'm wondering. Okay, you can do it first.
Just a really quick one. This actually isn't in the notes, but I was just thinking, how do you all write this down, or is it just in your head? Do you have notes? How do you organize the notes? You start in the middle. You've got this trick here. How do you do it? All of you.
I use a combination of video and notes. Cool. So if I come across a good 10 seconds that I think would work well in whatever act I'm making, I'll film it and then write a little note to myself, you know, with the date and time that I shot the video, and then don't forget this, you idiot.
It's good with the date and time. I should start to do that. I do the same, but then I have like all the, like when I write my acts down, like, I mean, you kind of, for me, I do like a puzzle of sequences when I do an act. like, I mean, some are new and some are like, maybe I steal an old one, and then it always, my notes are like, you know, under the leg to head thingy, you know, roll to the shoulder, bump a hop. Like, it's always like weird, and I would know what it's when I read it, but then sometimes I don't, and I need to find the video, and I never, then it's like, you know, 100 things. So I always try to also film, and then after a few like notes when I have something a bit longer. But yeah, I don't think I build like you, Joe. I build in bigger blocks. I rarely did that. I'm very hats off to you for the detail, like that I set the half a second, and then I've done that in sequences, but never into music. Like I think I'm too impatient like that. I mean, I love watching it, and I cannot do it myself. Work like that. I'm very impressed. Like,
thanks.
How about you?
Amazing.
How about you? How do you record?
I do not juggle to music.
Oh, why?
It's really weird because I am a musician. I'm a composer. I play 7 different instruments, but I do not, in my act, there is no music unless I am creating it through the juggling or doing the comedy. I'm a talking comedy juggler, but I have absolutely no music in my act at all unless I'm playing it.
Wow.
Cool.
Which is really weird. And people point out that irony all the time that I'm a musician who does not juggle to music.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I talk at all throughout my act continually. So yeah, no music, and it makes it a lot easier. All I have to do is plug in a wireless lapel mic, and I'm good to go for sound. So that makes it really, really easy.
Wow, David, I'm curious because it was mentioned in I'm pretty sure in Peter's video about this historical juggler who used this cool prop, and I'm pretty sure that you have that prop because you showed it earlier. Could you talk a bit about that?
Yes. So one of the most famous examples of playing music through juggling was Bobby May, who would balance upside down on a head pedestal. First, let me show you. I have a drawing of the trick to make it.
David has everything.
Look at that background.
It's within arm's reach, it seems.
It's a cup.
It's amazing.
So he's balancing upside down on a little table headstand and juggling 5 balls and playing the drum that's on the floor.
Wow.
And I just so happen to have the table.
Oh shit!
Wow.
So he would
put
his head right here. Put his head right there. Grab this and then kick up his feet. Grab these 5 balls that are here, and the drum was on the floor, and he would play that. And so
to the sound of Yankee Doodle, wasn't it?
to Yankee Doodle Dandy. And so he always did 3, but at certain points in his career he did 5 balls.
Wow.
And there is a hilarious story about that.
Yeah, tell us.
One day he was performing it. You know, he performed with a live band or orchestra, and so he was on a big stage and he was doing it, and one of the balls hit the rim of the drum and shot down into the orchestra pit. And down in the orchestra was a grand piano that had the lid up, propped up, and the ball hit the prop, and the lid of the grand piano went whack, and the whole orchestra stopped, and all the audience was completely silent, and Bobby May was still upside down, and he went, ta-da! Yeah, but and so yeah, so it goes back, as I said earlier, the topic of today's discussion goes back a long way. Lots of famous people, including Bobby May, contributed to that history. So, and there's just so many examples. In that story I wrote for Juggle magazine, I talk about Peter a lot. I talk about the Flying Karamazov brothers. There's just so many people who have. I talk about Dan Menendez. I mean, think how many people copied Dan Menendez's bounce piano.
Yeah.
And all but one are not paying him to do that. But it's also
David, could you explain what that piano is? Because I'm pretty sure there's someone that doesn't know.
So here's Dan Menendez, and he has this what's called the bounce piano, and it's an amazing act. What it appears is that he's taking 5 balls and he's playing extremely complicated pieces on this piano that's sitting on the floor by bouncing the balls. It's no real secret, certainly to the juggling community, that is just one giant sensor. There's no raise, there's no separate keys. It is one flat rectangular piece painted to look like a piano. And so it's a MIDI sequencer attached to that sensor. And so whenever it doesn't matter where you play it, where you hit it, the next time that something hits the sensor, it plays the next note in the sequencer. And so he's controlling the rhythm. He's not controlling the tone at all, the note at all. Yeah. But by acting or by playing on the low end of the sensor when you're supposed to be playing low notes and vice versa, the general public their mind is blown.
It is cool. It is very cool.
I mean, if he was really doing it, it would be the most incredible thing in the world.
But still, it's really great. Like it's not easy.
Oh, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But you can't mess up.
Correct.
You got to be perfect with it to sell it correctly. But if you can do a 5-ball force bounce, you can fake this really, really well. But yes, you do need to move laterally and such to sell it well. But it's one of the most genius ideas I think has ever been created in the performing world of juggling.
Yeah.
And one reason I know that is that numerous people have stolen the idea.
Yeah.
All right. I think the only person that got permission to do it and pays Dan to do it is Niels Dunker.
Oh, wow.
As far as I know, everybody else that does it just stole the idea because it is a fairly simple idea but the fact that Dan created the idea, it just is genius. But watching the video that you've made with Peter, to me it's remarkable that people are still inventing new ideas all the time, and I don't think that's going to end anytime soon.
No.
I love to see the new ideas. I would also love to see people recreate things that we haven't seen in our lifetimes, like the Franco Piper stuff and
dream tricks.
Yeah. That's true for all things in juggling. For me, I love to see the new stuff, but man, I wish I could see some of the stuff that Kathy Goltini balancing a couch on her head, juggling it's true. I love the new stuff, but man, I'd love to see some of the old stuff too. Every time we find a new video of some old person that we just had pictures of, and we finally see some of these tricks, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome. Can I just quickly say now we have 3 minutes left on this call, or 4 minutes actually.
Okay, Joe said, hang on. Let's just wait a little bit and see.
Yeah.
It's going really well. It's going really well so far, guys. Me and Luis are so
Thank
happy.
you so much.
Yeah.
It's so mega. Thank you.
Hey, Jay, there are your clubs right there.
You serious?
Yeah. We can thank Tom and Iman.
And Ivan, your club is somewhere up here.
Oh, I see it a little bit to your right. The other way maybe.
Oh, I see it too. But the yellow one.
It's yellow and yellow and white. No, a bit further.
All
the
way.
other way. Yes.
Hey!
But yeah, let's continue on. Straight to a completely different topic, and that is kind of the rhythm that the juggling patterns create themselves. Like as we saw in the video, if you do 7-5-3-1, or if you do 4-4, like just sync, or you suddenly do you split them and then you catch them, and every single thing you do in juggling is not just, but often bum 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 bum. Like this is 7-4-4, right? You know, and every single trick has this thing with it, which made it possible for both you, Luis, and Peter to hear what pattern the other guy was juggling. And it was not as easy patterns that you selected. And that's just so cool. You know, we can kind of see with our ears. But this one other thing that you talked about was kind of how you can use dwell time. Like basically, how long do you hold the object? How quickly do you release it to create new rhythms? And I'm wondering, Peter, if you could go a little bit more into detail about how can you use dwell time to your advantage to create the rhythm that you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to use both the height and the dwell time all the time to be tight and to change a rhythm of a pattern. I mean, in the perfect world, like, I don't know if I said that there, but in the perfect world, the 7-4-4 should be like straight, but you would hear the sevens hit harder in the hand. Like, and that's the only thing you would, so it would kind of be like, I don't know how it would be, but it would like, but still straight. Yeah. So like, yeah, that's what we hear also. Even if it would be straight patterns, me and Luis did, you would hear the different heights because it hits harder. And but definitely, when I juggle, at least when I try to do rhythms and stuff, I tend to not think to if I hold it longer or something. I try to make the pattern happen, and then I realize after what I'm doing. But I think definitely the dwell time and especially the dwell time does the most change in the pattern of the rhythm of the pattern. I mean, but then the height and the way you catch also in many. If I used to have a rhythm piece with balls, like with beanbags, and it's very different how you catch also. I mean, you can catch a ball silently also, and if you catch it upwards, it's like a snare, or like, I mean, it's a what do you say, like a exaggerated, like it's emphasized that catch.
Yeah.
So you can I mean, you can do it like go ka 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 ka, like you would hit, you catch it both earlier and harder. So yeah, dwell time and height and like and strength.
Yeah,
Joe. Sorry, my daughter.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Joe, I'm wondering, for your act, the 3 club piece, how much do you think about dwell time?
Not often, particularly consciously. But if I'm, for example, taking a sequence that maybe I've made in training and I'm adapting it to fit a moment in the music, I find very quickly I'll be prolonging one particular throw to catch one long syllable in the lyrics or something like that. Or like dwelling a little bit longer on a club. You sort of massage all the timings of what you're doing to fit with the irregularities of that exact moment of the music.
Yeah.
So I think unconsciously it's happening a lot, and dwell times and heights and things like that. I'm changing quite a lot.
Yeah.
As I go along.
You also catch stuff early. I'm sure I've seen you doing some kind of 441, but you catch one up early, and like boom, something like that. I can't remember now. I think you did a 441 with a flat.
It's a 5-3-1 actually.
Hey,
with
there we
the
go.
5 as a
5-3-1.
low triple, and then the 3 as a really fast single that you catch level with the triple.
Oh wow, cool.
Nice, yeah.
That has a really nice rhythm to it, and a nice visual rhythm to it as well. I'm not so much thinking about maybe the rhythm of the sound of the props as I'm juggling, but that was a trick, for example, that I noticed when I watched a video of myself training. It had such a clear. I'm just throwing one arm up straight at a time.
Yeah,
and it's so percussive to watch almost.
Wow.
So straight away I was like, okay, that has to. Anytime I ever have a rhythm with a very strong emphasized first note of a triplet, like ba 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 ba,
yeah,
that just has to go straight in there. And luckily I found that.
Wow.
But I think, sorry, I just like to just say to you also, David, like it's not so weird that it has a long history, since like every time you juggle, you hear like. Juggling is naturally rhythmical and musical. Like when I juggle, I cannot unhear rhythms, and for good and bad. Sometimes, like I said to you, Luis, it really fucks me up if I get into the rhythm of a song I'm hearing or to something else around me. It's very hard to get out of that rhythm when you're.
Oh yeah.
And you can sometimes like change your pattern height and you do it wrong just because you're in beat with something around in your vicinity.
And you use it for.
I'm sure there's some.
No, you go for it.
Like
I wasn't going to say anything important. You go for it.
We've all taught plenty of people to juggle in our lifetimes, I'm sure. And I don't know about you guys, but I find even ahead of really well-coordinated sports people, musicians tend to be the people who learn it the fastest.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's maybe they just know how to learn better or build muscle memory quickly, or maybe there's just some kind of rhythmic magic going on there. Slotting into rhythm quickly.
If you lack rhythm, you're going to be hopeless as a juggler in the long run, I think. Or at least it's more or less like a Venn diagram. You know, juggling and music both share the rhythm time aspect. Yeah. It's so foundational for both music and juggling. The fact that they would cross over it's logical. I don't know. You know, it always inspires me, people like Joe who really, really tightly choreograph their juggling to the music. I'm thinking people like Air Jazz and Michael Menendez and people like that. It elevates juggling to art when it's that closely tied together. What are your guys' opinion on his name is escaping me for right now, the guy who juggles the three balls to the Beatles melody?
Chris Bliss.
Chris Bliss.
I mean, people give a lot of jugglers don't like Chris Bliss because he's just doing basic three ball stuff. But man, it is tightly choreographed.
Very much so.
The reaction to the audience, the Muggler audience, speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So it may not be incredible technique, but it is pretty decent musicianship.
And I think that's a really good example. I mean, also just to say from a technical standpoint, Chris does it with passion and he does it with no mistakes. So I don't care if you're doing 9 clubs for 11 catches or your Chris Bliss routine in front of Just for Laughs in Montreal, which is, that famous video. I mean, it's still incredible that he doesn't mess it up for whatever that's worth. But what you're bringing up, David, is a great point. This idea of tightly integrating juggling with the sounds. So Joe, this is a question for you. We have illustrative versus interpretive, right? So you can illustrate the music, which is usually, again, like a one-to-one mapping of the sounds versus what you see. So I'm going to hit every 16th note. I'm going to make a little catch or a throw. But then but sometimes for me, that becomes really boring, especially once you understand the game. After like you go, oh, I get it now. The game is just to follow the beat or the exact intricacy of the song. That can be great. Like Chris Bliss is really good at that. But it can also, I think, kill the game because there's no mystery. On the other end of the spectrum, you have interpretation, which is just way more, I don't know, free form of like the music makes me feel like throwing high, but like that doesn't necessarily mean anything concretely. So Joe, how do you balance illustrative versus interpretive in your choreographies? Because I think that's like your sweet spot for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, thanks. It's something I've only begun thinking about consciously in the last couple of years. And it's something I wish I had been thinking about for a lot longer than that. I find it, I almost think of it, and also if I back analyze stuff that I've made without consciously thinking of it in this way, it's almost you have to establish the rules and then break them. So for whatever reason, I find most of the pieces I make that are really tightly composed with music begin fairly illustratively, and I'm just throwing and catching in sync with beats. And it's sort of establishing to the audience, like, hey, look, I'm this juggler, but whoa, watch out. I'm doing it at the same time that the music beats are playing. Now, isn't that cool? And then, like you said, like that can, after a little while, people begin to understand what the rules are and what it is that they're watching. But then that's so much fun because now you're both in on the world. You and the audience both are like playing this game together. And then as soon as you break the rule and suddenly there's a club hanging in the air for 2 beats longer than it should, suddenly now they're wondering why I've done that. And that's a little jolt to them. And then now we've got a dialogue. And now we're in this game together, the audience and I. And then you've got a whole, then you can just play with that. And then it gets really fun. But it's something I'm still definitely figuring out in terms of composition. But it's thinking about it in those terms it's like blown it wide open for me. It's been really fun.
Cool, Joe. That's very cool.
That's very cool to hear about. And it just shows like music and juggling. It's so many things we can cover. We have covered what we've covered right now. And we're going to end it here almost. So we're going to have kind of this last question. It's kind of two tied together in a way. And that's kind of, I think I would like to first direct it to Jay, actually, because how do you see in the future of us combining music and juggling with kind of the technology that we have? What can we create? And especially, what if you had an unlimited amount of money and you had all the best guys in the world? What would you love to create for
that's
combining?
easy. That's an easy. Yeah, that's an easy answer. So I think you have two spectrums. You have an XY axis, okay? And on one axis you have juggling. The other axis is music. On one end of the juggling spectrum, you have juggling that is easy or like not complex or whatever. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have like really hard. And I don't say hard like technically, but maybe like relevant juggling today. Like if I go up on the EJC open stage, I do 3-ball cascade. Like nobody's going to be like, that's cool. Like 3-ball cascade right now at EJC open stage is not the thing. So on this juggling spectrum, you have like maybe relevant juggling and not relevant juggling, or, I don't know. And on music, you have the same thing. On one end of the spectrum, you have music that is like, I'm making sounds, like I'm catching balls I'm juggling those clubs with bells on them that David mentioned, And on the other end of the spectrum, you have music that is quote unquote music with a capital M that's relevant to music. And like if a musician would hear it, they would go, wow, that's exciting music. Okay. So those two axes, they create 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
So we have examples of 3 quadrants, and I've never seen an example of the 4th one. So the 3 quadrants we've had, it's the juggling is easy and the music is easy. That's me juggling the 3-club cascade with the bells, right? We've had an example of the juggling being hard or like cool or whatever, and the music being easy. We've seen an example of the music being complicated and the juggling being not like easy. So those two examples I could say, for example, maybe micro motion with the triangle. I say the juggling is quite complex, but if I show that if I show that video to my drummer friend without the visual and just the audio track of the triangle, my drummer friend is going to be like, "Huh? That's not cool drumming, right?" But so there's an example of the juggling complex and the music not so complex. We can have another example of the music being more complex. The Flying Karamazov brothers playing the marimba, juggling 3 mallets each. But the juggling, again, it's a 3 mallet cascade. It's not really how people juggle 3 clubs today, for example. So we can find examples of 3 of those 4 quadrants, but the one that's missing is the quadrant where the music is like musically relevant to the world of music and the juggling is equally relevant to the world of juggling.
And how do we get there?
You just said I have all the money and all the people, so and I just need all the time. We need all the time, and then we make it. No, but honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, it is just putting time into both of those things, right? And that's the difficult part. You have to be musically advanced and advanced in juggling. And like David had that great example of that Venn diagram where we have rhythm in the middle, but like it's just there's only 24 hours in a day. So you know, Ivan, you spent your time. You have like the world record, like the highest average number of objects juggled, you know? You put all your time into that instead of all your time into like playing the harp or something. But so we just have to find the people who are going to make that Venn diagram like 2 precise circles that overlap completely. I don't know. Wow. But I just haven't seen that 4th example yet. Maybe it exists and we can argue this. It's obviously interpretive. I just made all this up, right? It's just all completely subjective. And maybe you can start to convince me of the 4th quadrant already existing. But I don't know. That's kind of what I think about when you ask that question about the future.
Amazing.
Bloody great answer. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Jay, I think maybe the answer to the 4th quadrant is the band idea. If you have enough musically inclined jugglers
right on
that create all that rhythm and all the tone, all the melody, chords and everything, I think that's the answer to the 4th quadrant.
And the juggling is relevant and difficult enough for the juggling itself just to be spectacular as well.
Yeah, even just the stage filled with people all doing their part. Yeah. Because if you look at an orchestra, oftentimes, you know, the bass is not that the individual parts don't create something that's by itself isn't that big, but put it all together and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But you're right. Maybe the individual parts of the juggling for that aren't going to be in 4th quadrant level, but you never know.
But it could be. I mean, you could also then, if you're many people, you could have let's say a more complicated pattern, but only let's say one of the objects is doing sound. So you could.
We might have. I mean, there's two hopes. Like there's Jack Dinger. He's like a classically trained musician who's like one of the best technical jugglers I've ever seen. And isn't Jonah Botnick Greenhouse? Isn't he? Jonah's a musician, right? Like a good cello player or something?
Yep.
Wow.
So maybe that's their task to do that.
Great. We give them both $1 million and lock them in a bunker somewhere for a year.
Exactly.
We see what happens.
Amazing.
Hey,
thank you so much, guys, for coming. This has been a lot of fun. It has been so nice hearing all of these interesting things from all of you, like really. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll do our famous goodbyes. Woo!
Come on,
all of us. Nice.